good knobs.
Yeah, that'll be the bit that'll just get clipped out. I've never heard that word the same way again. I've heard Geddy say, "New Radica, new Radica." So we're two huge Rush fans. We've got tickets to see the band live in concert for the first time next year. And in the lead up, we're doing this series called Road to Rush, where we review every single Rush album, one per week, and share our thoughts. This time, it was an album we both knew nothing about. It was Rush's entrance to the 1990s. Some would say graceful, some would say graceless. With 1991's Roll the Bones. We are filming this at Geddy Lee's own special gardening club. Thanks, Geddy, for allowing us to have a fondle of your shrubbery while we talk about one of Rush's lesser-known albums. What did you think?
I think it was perfect in time where it belonged. It sounded like a massive mashup of In Excess and Extreme mixed together, and it was perfect for 1991.
That's a very polite way of saying, looking at it through a 26 lens, it's rubbish.
No.
That's a very polite way of saying that.
When it got to Roll the Bones, the title track, I thought, you know what, there's something really in this track, and it went to places I really didn't expect to be taken. To be taken to by Rush.
Yeah.
And I did adore a little bit of it because I do like Extreme and so on.
Yeah.
But there was this funky 90s vibe, and yes, they are very 90s at this point.
Yeah, we felt the 90s, didn't we? I think Dreamline was a fantastic opener. You know, it set the stage for the album. It just kind of got me in that early 90s zone. Still lots of MIDI, still lots of keyboards going on. The drums sounded fantastic from a production point of view. The kick and the snare especially cut through the mix really nicely.
True.
I think it's probably one of the best sounding albums in terms of overall production into how it sounds and how it's mixed. Like, it's very of its time, but it's a very pleasant listen. You know, some of the albums you find yourself turning it down a little bit because it's a bit harsh, maybe some of the guitar frequencies in the upper registers.
This is right.
This one had this lovely sort of well-rounded, well-produced sort of sound to it, and it's perfect for radio, I think.
I found that whilst listening to it, I sort of got a cheeky smile because even every album they've done, they are of the time.
Yeah,
and it's not a negative thing.
Yeah.
They've pushed the boundaries of what's available, what they've got in front of them, and also kept it sleek and modern and now.
Yeah.
You know, and now obviously in retrospect and hindsight, it does sound like 1991.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Bravado. It was a ballad, but there was a bit of balls in there as well.
Yeah.
You know, there wasn't enough balls in the previous ballads. You know, they were maybe just a bit too soft for my... This one was a ballad, but it was also very Rush at the same time.
Should have called it Roll the Balls.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I found that repetition was key in this album. I think I've never heard lyrics be, you know, repeated as many times as possible.
Yeah.
Roll the Bones was, you know, sort of obnoxiously repeated, even though it was still catchy.
Yeah.
And just every tagline in most of the songs was excessively repeated, which wasn't sort of a Rush thing to do.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. And I responded to it positively.
There's one really famous thing about this album that we have to discuss, that I've been waiting to discuss, and that is the rap in Roll the Bones, in the song Roll the Bones. Talk me through listening to that for the first time. What was your reaction when it kicked in?
I didn't realise Michael Hutchins from In Excess was on the album. Because it is very, the track itself, rather, but the diddle diddle diddle, it's very In Excess-y in itself. But that's what was happening at the time.
Yeah.
And as I say, with Extreme had released the third album, which had, I can't remember if that was 1991, and it had the funk element, the funk rappy element, which all these people started doing at this time.
Yeah.
You know, all these white gentlemen sort of pulling into this market.
Yeah.
I think it was pulled off. I didn't think it was too tacky or cheesy.
No.
And I wondered who it was.
No, same. My thing with it was I knew there was a Rush song with a rap in. I didn't know it was on this album, so totally unexpected when it kicked in. I imagine is that because it was quite low and it's Geddy Lee and it's pitch shifted down, that it was this really fast, high pitch.
Was it Geddy Lee?
Yeah, it's Geddy Lee just pitched down with a bunch of effects. So I can imagine him doing it in the studio, really high pitch, and then the producer just slowing it right down, you know, to make it go. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Chef from South Park when he started rapping a little bit. You know, I got the chocolate salty balls vibe a little bit.
Well, it's the most unsexiest man alive. Meant to sound sexy. God, this is very spiky and pointy.
I really enjoyed the little biography about the song where it was like Neil Peart took inspiration from some of the better rap lyricists at the time. And that really made me laugh. You know that. But again, I think they were doing what they did in the 80s with the 90s. You know, listening to the Police, for example, how we can hear the reggae on Spirit of the Radio. They were just doing that, but for the 90s with the rap. You know, they were just taking what was around at the time.
But they weren't tacking it. It was like they weren't doing it. they were just doing what was right at the time.
And it is part of the song, and that's really important. They didn't just sling a rap on.
They're not
it's
selling
part
out.
of the song.
They're still rushing.
Yeah.
They're still the excellent timey bits that I wanted. And also, the one key difference with this album from the last few, the last track was the last track.
Yeah.
The finale was excellent. You know, and you think, right, it's finished now. It's definitely finished. Whereas the last album we enjoyed, we sort of tried to say, you know, it had too many tracks almost.
Yeah.
But this, I was like, right, this is finished, and it definitely finished.
And what did you think of the instrumental, Where's My Thing? The worst titled instrumental ever.
Rattle My Thing. Yes, to be honest, I'd not paid attention to it at that point.
I didn't like it. I think it didn't have a good melody. It felt like it needed lyrics. It felt like it needed singing. I was listening to it and I was thinking, it needs a vocal, or it needs a melody. It needs another thing in there, leading the melody, leading the charge, because there was some very nice funky bass and guitar chords in there. But for me, it was just missing that very final piece of the puzzle. You know, maybe a little guitar lick, a little keyboard lick. I can't remember which song it was, but there was one track, I think maybe... it was the third or fourth song where there was these offbeat keyboard stabs in time with the snare, and it was just so cheap. And it was so funny and so of its day.
But I'm very glad when I look back at this album and read up that it did well, I'm like, so it should have done.
Yeah.
Because it was what people were doing at the time.
What do you think of Rush, Steve? What's your honest opinion on Rush?
I came across Rush a long time ago, probably the 80s, when we used to go to the Turk's Head Rock Club and head banging away when he had some bloody hair. Yeah. 2112, Hemispheres, all those old school prog rock stuff. I used to love it. It was excellent.
Much better album cover than the last one.
I
Weird
like,
Rabbits. That was bad one on Presto. That was an awful cover. What did you think of their cover of King Crimson's Neurotica?
To be honest, that was probably one of my favourite tracks. If you want to say Roll the Bones, the title track, Neurotica was very good.
Yeah.
Had that groove element to it, very nice.
I've never heard that word the same way again. I've heard Geddy say Neurotica, Neurotica at the top of his nasally register. Yeah. And of course, You Bet Your Life, referencing the Who's You Better You Bet there at the end with the closing track.
What a silly song that is.
I think we've been in a bit of a slump, or at least I've been in a bit of a slump with the last few albums. The last album that I really loved was Grace Under Pressure.
I think this did sort of kindle a bit of, you know, this is what we're doing now, sort of emotions, rather than going, oh, they've just gone modern, you know. I did embrace this a bit more than I thought I would. Yeah, there's something, on these past few albums, there's just been something not there. Like, it's not Kick Me in the Chest. They've got
the Rush
the artistic license. They know that what they're going to do is going to be good.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're not putting effort in, but it's trying to accommodate and accustom to all these new people and these new things.
And I think perhaps they're a victim of their own success at this point. You know, Rush was a machine at this point. It was album tour, and that was all they did. What's favourite track?
I think if I'm not going to say Roll the Bones, I'll go for Neurotica.
Yeah.
Just because it was the one that made me go, which one was this again?
Yeah.
Very much enjoyed. The funk and the groove throughout the whole album was excellent, but a bit tame. Didn't really go to the ethereal notches.
Once again, Neil Peart's chilled out a little bit on his drumming.
Yeah.
His drumming was very straightforward on this album.
Absolutely,
maybe not for the best.
Digestible.
Yeah, more palatable. Bravado for me, I think the best song on the album. I think it was the first time where I heard a Rush ballad and I instantly loved it. It had the heaviness, it had a wonderful guitar solo towards the end, some wonderful guitar textures, which had been kind of lacking on the previous albums with the keyboard
Getting
dominance.
a bit Steve Vai-ish sort of noises.
And I really liked that. I really liked that Lifeson wasn't just rehashing his earlier stuff, he was constantly evolving. His sound was constantly changing, except apart from that he still had the chorus pedal with all the knobs turned to maximum, which I enjoyed very much.
Good knobs.
Yeah. That'll be the bit that'll just get clipped out. Just good knobs. Patrick Spillane reviews Roll the Bones. Good knobs.
Roll the ball.
What are you giving Roll the Bones out of 10?
It's a good 7.5.
I'm gonna give it slightly lower. I'm gonna give it a 7.
I think I can justify mine by me being pleasantly surprised at the progression into the new time world. You know, this is the 90s now, and they brought it there.
Yeah.
They weren't trying to keep what they already had, you know, and I think it was a bit refreshing almost.
Yeah. What did you think of 1991's Roll the Bones? Let us know in the comments below. Next up, we've got 1993's Counterparts.
Royal the Boyans.
Hooray! Like and subscribe.